Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you're here to watch the Battle of the Books. This is going to be the battle for the best book of the year. Now, I wanted to do this because one of my friends, Alex, posted in Wizardly Reads this really cool little board, which I found out later that it was part of a journal that they had. But I like to talk about the books that I read throughout the year and not just pick one favorite. But I wanted to do it this way. And I have a little board over here, which I don't have a rectangular board, so it looks a little weird. But we have brackets and a winner's circle and all that stuff, or a winner's rectangle, I guess. And I'm going to pick my best book of the year in a battle of the books. So we are going to go through the books that I have read this year. We are going to talk about some of the favorites that I've read this year and get them on the board. Okay, so for January, I read We Are the Dead. We Are the Dead is one of my favorite, part of my favorite series, one of my favorite series, which I haven't read the final book, so I haven't actually added it to my favorite series yet, but I really, really loved We Are the Dead. I also read The Love Hypothesis in January and by Ali Hazelwood, and it's a Reylo fan fiction, and you guys know how much I love me some Reylo, and okay, so if I had to choose between those two, I'm gonna have to put We Are the Dead above The Love Hypothesis. Oh, and then I read All the Murmuring Bones. All the Murmuring Bones is a gothic that I loved. Hang on. I think we have a winner. I think we have a winner for January. Engines of Empire. I absolutely loved that book. Now, I did not give it 5 stars. I gave it 4.5, but I think the only reason I am not willing to give it 5 stars is because it has a little bit of first book syndrome. However, my enjoyment of that novel still remains probably like one of the highest that I have this year. So there we go. We have it added. Okay, so moving on to February. Let's see. I have read Blackwing and Nofek Gloss in February, but those are rereads for me, so I'm not going to count those. Oh man, I didn't read much in February. I totally forgot about that. So I read Fear and Fury by Jamie Jackson, Blackwing by Ed McDonald, Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker, Nofek Gloss by Essa Hansen, and Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I think by default, I have to go Certain Dark Things because most of those were rereads. That was a really busy month for me. Like all of our birthdays fall in like the end of January, all through February. And yeah, so Certain Dark Things is going to take the February slot. There we go. Okay, let's see. Now for March. Ashes of the Sun. Oh no. Oh no. I read Ashes of the Sun and The Mad Ship in the same month. Guys, as much as I love Ashes of the Sun and as much as like that is one of my favorites, I think The Mad Ship is my favorite live ship. So I'm going to have to go Mad Ship. So there's the first bracket filled out. Okay, let's see, April. Ooh, April, I read a lot. Okay, I think I know where we're going with this one. So, Blood of the Chosen is, again, going to take a hit. It's going to take a hit because I read In the Orbit of Sirens by T.A. Bruno, and that still remains one of my favorite books of the year. So I'm going to go In the Orbit of Sirens, and there we go. Slot number 4 is done. And let's see, May. Oh, read a lot in May too. Den of Vipers, no thank you. Ooh, The Bone Houses was good. Wow, looking at what I read in May, I think I am going to have to go with The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Now, in May, I did read a lot of YA, and I think The Bone Houses was really good. I just don't think that it can top City of Brass. I also read The Graveyard Book, which I thought was really good, but still can't top The City of Brass. And then I read The City of Dusk, which again, I really loved, but cannot top The City of Brass. All right, June. Okay, Book of Night, Truth of the Divine, Pilgrim of Swords, that's a reread. Oh, end of June, I read The Bone Ships. Yup, The Bone Ships is going to win this one. I have found this year that I really like R.J. Barker. Really, really, or I guess over the last year. I read the Wounded Kingdom trilogy and I started the Bone Ships, the Tide Child trilogy. And I really just love R.J. Barker's writing a lot. And the Bone Ships is a little confusing at first because you're getting introduced into this world, but you're just getting dropped in. Like they're not explaining a whole lot to you. And I kind of enjoy that. That'll come up again here, I'm sure, very soon. Oh, July, the month that killed so many reading things for so many people. We did a readathon in July, and oh, it was rough. It was rough. Now, I am going to have a really, really hard time picking a favorite because I read The Hacienda, I read A Touch of Light, I read The Book Eaters, and I read Shorefall. So, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, I also read A Dowry of Blood. So, this is hard. This is hard. Okay, going through and looking at my compile rating, I think I'm gonna have to go with A Touch of Light by Tiago Abdallah. It just edged out Shorefall, but barely edged out Shorefall. And I think Shorefall was emotionally impactful, but as far as enjoyment goes, I actually enjoyed A Touch of Light a little bit more, and I think that's what put it over the edge. Okay, let's see August. August I read a lot too. Illuminae. I really, really liked Illuminae. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, because they have Matship on here, and that was my favorite of the live ship traders, I am going to actually put The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy as my favorite book of August. And the reason I am doing that is because I absolutely adore this book. And I didn't put the love hypothesis on here, so I have to get a romance on here, right? But The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy is a lot cuter than I expected, but still has, it's one of those, the romance is good, but it's still a really good fantasy story alongside it. And it has spurned my desire, this and A Strange and Stubborn Endurance, they have like spurned this desire for me to find like romance stories that have a really good fantasy plot as well. All right, for September, Driftwood was pretty good. Strange and Stubborn Endurance. Oh, 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 oh. This just settled itself because I read The Martyr in September. That was easy. Now, I also read Bonds of Chaos in September, and I absolutely loved both Bonds of Chaos and The Martyr, but I think The Martyr is probably Anthony Ryan's best book I've read to date, so best book he's ever written. It was absolutely fantastic. October, I didn't read very much. So for this one, I'm gonna have to go with Ghostwood Song by Erica Waters. It has a very Devil Went Down to Georgia type feel to the story. I loved the atmosphere of it. I really loved the way that she played with the mythology of this bayou town. It was really, really cool. So I'm going to go Ghostwood Song. All right, November was not the greatest reading month for me. I ended up DNFing a lot. I rated things pretty low. I was getting very slumpy because of that. Let's see what we have that could come out on top. I think I might have to go with The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. Now, this is horror with humor, and I absolutely love T. Kingfisher's writing. It kind of has a fae element to the story, which I absolutely loved. And then, I have to go with All the Feels by Olivia Dade because I read 2 books in December. All right, so here we have the 12 books in contention. Now let's go through them real quick. So I have Engines of Empire, Certain Dark Things, Mad Ship, Touch of Light, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, The Martyr, In the Orbit of Sirens, The City of Brass, The Bone Ships, Ghostwood Song, The Twisted Ones, and All the Feels, which I realized that was like off camera a little bit. So let me scoot over. So let's battle it out, shall we? Engines of Empire, Certain Dark Things, The Mad Ship. Oh my gosh. I don't like this because Engines of Empire, I really want to say is so good and deserves a spot like further out, but coming up against Mad Ship, I think I have to admit, Mad Ship won that round. Okay. Now, A Touch of Light, The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, and The Martyr. Again, I have to apologize. Y'all came up against The Martyr, and it was great. All right, there we go. All right, In the Orbit of Sirens, The City of Brass, and The Bone Ships. Ooh, that's hard. That's really hard. Okay, so In the Orbit of Sirens or The Bone Ships. I'm gonna have to give it to T.A. Bruno. I just really, really loved In the Orbit of Sirens. I absolutely loved it. Okay, this final one is gonna be a little bit easier. Ghostwood Song, The Twisted Ones, All the Feels. I'm gonna have to give it to The Twisted Ones. And Mad Ship and In the Orbit of Sirens. This is difficult because I like these two books for very different reasons. And having them pitted against each other is a little unfair because we have debut novel and Robin Hobb. So I feel like these two going head to head is just unfair to T.A. Bruno, but I'm gonna have to go with Mad Ship. And again, The Twisted Ones versus The Martyr. I am gonna have to go Martyr. Now we have the moment of truth. Was Mad Ship my favorite or The Martyr my favorite? If I'm going to be perfectly honest, these books are kind of at a tie. Even looking at my compile rating of the two, they're at a tie. So now I have to decide, enjoyment-wise, which one I enjoyed more. And I'm going to have to say, I'm sorry, Robin Hobb, but I like Anthony Ryan's writing just a hair more. So, surprising no one, the winner of the Battle of the Books is The Martyr by Anthony Ryan. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that and had fun with me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. Don't forget I have a Patreon, and I would love if you subscribed to me and supported the channel over there. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.